Hey everyone, welcome back to another Making Things Happen episode. Today I've got another buddy of mine who has a good story to tell about making things happen. Matt moved down to London many years back. Little resources, no job. Financial crash just hit. He was originally a builder landscaper. Wanted to change of scene. So went down to London to see if he can find some work, and he's a good story to tell. Basically, it's one of those where he was very good at his craft, but changed the kind of his work entirely, and it was a massive change that he had to undertake and stuff like that. So he's going to explain that kind of story and that kind of thing. And he really excelled at this new career as well. So I think it'll be a good story to tell because the way things are with COVID, a lot of jobs and careers and certain industries are taking an awful hammering, and people are uncertain about about their career path and where they're going to go, where they're going to end up and stuff. So I think this is going to be a good story to tell because you can always change and upscale and make a change of scene in your career. And so look, without further ado, enjoy the interview and take care. All right, people, what's happening? Welcome back to another episode of Making Things Happen. So I've got a good friend of mine here right now from England, London, originally Manchester. Matt Haworth, nice to see you, dude. We've had a long relationship in our past. We used to DJ together, used to hang out a lot, and when I came back here, we sort of lost base a little bit. But we're in touch again, and I want to share your story with the viewers on making a change in your life in some way, shape, or form, because I think it's a good story. So listen, dude, what are you doing right now in your life? What point of difference are you making right now at the moment? What are you doing?
Okay, so I'm an operations director.
Cool.
We've got 6 sites, and every site has its own sort of identity. It's mainly bar restaurants. That's basically what I'm involved in.
All based in London now, right?
Yeah, all predominantly based in London. We've got a place sort of out in Windsor, but yeah, all in the sort of London area. Yeah.
Cool. Now, when you and I were hanging out together,
very, very long time ago,
a few years ago, I won't say very long, but a few years ago, we were, you're from Bury in Manchester, right, which is North Manchester, and of course, I'm just outside Dublin. So I moved when I was very young over there, and got to meet you with a few other friends, and we became very good friends. And we had a very kind of good click between the two of us because we used to, we love music. We were big into DJing and that kind of thing, and we used to play in house parties or else like in certain clubs that we had with friends that were promoting as well, which is cool.
Yeah.
And we used to go out doing the L rave as well every once in a while, which is kind of nice. But you at the time, Matt, were like you're a builder, like you were doing landscaping and building and that kind of stuff. And
yeah, it's
a big change from what you were doing back then to what you're doing now. So if you can tell us, like, what was, I suppose, what was the kind of motivator or the drive to actually go from landscaping to what you're doing right now? That's because it's completely different.
Yeah, well, I think quite honestly, it's like most people, the things that impact people in their lives and the changes that people make aren't often planned. It's often external forces that drive change. It's very rarely someone one day going, you know what, I'm going to do this. It's often other things. And for me at the time, it was, to cut a long story short and to keep as much anonymity for others, and respect that. Was, I was up in Manchester. I was doing my own thing. doing the building thing, really enjoying it. It was great. But I was seeing a girl at the time, and it was let's move down to London sort of thing. And I was like a bit sort of, I don't know, I'm trying to build something up here. And then I thought, you know what, I'm going to do it. Due to different things, I'm going to do it. But it was quite, to be honest with you, it was quite a painful experience in terms of like decision making and thinking, wow, what if it doesn't work? Or all the fear that we all feel when we sort of faced with a daunting task. So I bit the bullet and moved down to London. And it was tough because it was 2009. The credit crunch had just sort of really it kicked in, and it was taking its toll. It was late. It was approaching Christmas. It was sort of November, December time, and there wasn't much work to be found. Quite honestly, it was like, all right, so I'm here, and I was applying for stuff, and nothing was coming back. I was with a load of different recruitment agencies.
Even in London as well, by the way.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, it was like, because you sort of, in my head, it's like, well, I'm sort of Dick Whittington, and it's all the streets are paved with gold, and it's just not like that, of course, naively. And I got it, and I don't know. I was younger at the time. I wasn't that young. I was sort of 29, 30 years old, and yeah, it was a big reality check for me.
I'm sure.
But so I was applying for stuff and it didn't happen, and I was like, okay, right, okay. And then I was really down to nothing. I had no money, luckily I was supported at the time, and but even so, I was just like, well, if there's nothing there for me, God knows what's going to happen. So yeah. So in my sort of final hours of like, well, what am I going to do? I had a pretty cool local boozer, and we were in there one night, having a few beers, as you do.
As you do.
And I was. To be fair, I was battered. I was very drunk, and probably too many pints in. Got talking to this guy, and I was just telling him my story, and it's like my frustrations, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I sort of joked to him that I'd been spending a bit too much time on the internet and thinking, what am I going to do if I can't get a proper job? What am I going to do? And I sort of stumbled across this website called cheekybutler.com. So I had a better body then, and I thought, well, maybe I'll just do that. So he thought that was quite funny, and thought, well, maybe this kid sort of needs a break in his drunken haze, and me, cracking inappropriate jokes and whatnot. So he was like, talking about this and that. Anyway, so sort of literally a week passed, and then I was literally about to discuss, terms of going home. It was bad. It was really bad, and feeling quite depressed. And joking aside, really down on my luck, and just a real low. And out of the blue, I got this call, and I'm like, who is this? No one's calling me at the moment. You know what I mean? Especially from a number I don't know. And I'm like, hello, and it's like, all right, mate. I'm like, hi, mate. Is this Matt? Yeah. It's Matt. He's like, are you still looking for a job? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, right, yeah. Well, can you be in Clapham Junction in about an hour? And I'm like,
no way.
Yeah, I'm not sure where Clapham Junction is, but why? All right, yeah. Well, well, I've got a restaurant, and just get yourself down there. And I'm like, yeah, well, sorry, Steve. This is the guy you are.
Yeah.
This is Steve, who I now work with. And he's like, oh yeah. It's I've got a restaurant, and I need a waiter. And I'm like, whoa, hang on, dude. I'm like, I've never done this before. I've not waited tables, never worked behind the bar. And he's like, don't worry, it's easy. Don't worry about it. Just get yourself over there. So, I sort of got myself ready, ironed my shirt and got myself on the tube, not really knowing where to go. Got some advice. And, just about turned up on time. And this young girl greeted me who barely knew what was happening. I was like, I sort of actually introduced myself. I was like, ooh, And that was that, man. Honestly, it was like, I then proceeded, these young people sort of took me under my wing and that was that really. I continued to be the worst waiter in London for a good 6 months. Honestly, you would have not wanted for me to have served your table. That's all I'm going to say.
Record? Maybe. Food?
Yeah.
It's off.
Yeah, exactly. To the frustration of the people around me. But, honestly, like the guy, I did realize it then, but, I look back and I cringe because those people must have been like, what is this guy doing? Why is he not being sacked? But, Steve sort of put confidence in me, and he persevered with me, and he must have liked me or seen something in me.
Yeah, of course.
He put trust in me, man.
Yeah.
And the rest is history, and I'll never forget that. It changed my life, and that's it. That's sort of
and it did.
That's it. That's
it definitely did, because of and we'll lead on to that now in a little while. But what's interesting is and especially with times right now at the moment where it's COVID, a lot of people, especially in the hospitality, are getting dicked on more or less, because of COVID.
Yeah.
And other industries as well, that people are just kind of losing jobs and that kind of thing as well. So and again, like, this is COVID, but going back to 2009, you were, looking for a new maybe direction with a new relationship in your life and that kind of thing. And that was a tough thing to do because of the credit crunch at the time. So we're kind of in a similar situation-ish, in a way.
Very similar.
People are, losing careers, losing jobs, that kind of thing. So this is why I like having you on today, because you really kind of show like how things can actually work out actually okay when you're in a shit situation to moving into a better positive one. But Matt, tell us, like, some of the downfalls like that you've had with this whole thing. You landed, you took the tube, you went to see this new guy, Steve. You got a job, but this is completely out of your comfort zone, because you were a builder, landscaper, doing good work, to moving down to London from Manchester, moving down to London, and now being in a completely different kind of area. I mean, you must have had some challenges there, big time.
Mate, no, absolutely. It was like, it was really frustrating for me, because I was 30 years old. I'd been doing what I had previously been doing for 10 years. And in a similar vein, really, started off at the bottom, not really knowing my arse from my elbow, and then learning and, making mistakes and learning the hard way, but becoming, pretty good at what I did. I sort of prided myself at doing a good job, and then became comfortable with all that sort of routine and, for want of a better expression, just being used to do something. It's comfortable.
Yeah.
You do what you do, and you got it in. You create this bubble that you don't even realize. And that bubble was burst, man, big time, when I was, for the first time confronted, with my hand shaking with my pad, taking an order, and just not knowing, like, just I had no skills. Like, there was no, I had nothing, man. I just didn't know what to do. What I thought was a confident guy very quickly was just like nothing. You know,
You were completely out of your
I felt like
comfort
a kid.
zone at the time, Matt.
Yeah, totally.
You really were.
Yeah, like you could like as naked as you could ever feel in a situation, like getting on stage and being naked. That is how it felt. And you know, it's tough when you've got to do that, and there's a lot of people doing that at the moment, I suppose.
100%.
But I suppose if you're talking about, you know, challenges, I would label it like a sort of crisis of confidence. You know, I definitely had a crisis of confidence initially, big time.
Understandable, 100%.
You know,
Yeah.
and I think that crisis of confidence, there was different sort of parts to that in a way. You know, you build yourself up a little bit, and then I was asked to be a manager, and then that was a whole new thing. I was just like, hang on, I've just barely been able to sort of master serving tables, you know, and then a manager and all the things that sort of holds, you know. So in terms of like challenges, I think it was my own mind was my enemy in a way, you know.
Yeah.
And all those fears that we all have, and this sort of imposter syndrome, you know. And I think most people suffer from it at some point.
100%.
Like, am I good enough?
100%.
You know? Am I really good enough? Can I do it? Should I be doing this? You know. And I went through all that, you know, and I've been guilty of that along the way, you know. So I'd say that is one of them, you know. That I would say that is a big thing, and I would relate that back to the times that are sort of manifesting now. That you said, you know, it's like when I moved down in 2009, around that time, the credit crunch. It's sort of, it has parallels. It's much more weird now, clearly. But, you know, it's sort of people get displaced because of, you know, economic, you know, sort of issues.
Yeah. 100%.
That are created by other external forces, you know, and this time it's COVID. Last time it was a massive just financial crisis. You know, so I'd say that is one of them. There are others, I would say. But,
even moving down to London though, Matt, with no job was a challenge in itself, like, you know. And, you know, coincidentally, or just by pure madness, that, you know, you're out on the piss one night and you just met this guy that says, look, you know, maybe we could sort something out, and gave you an opportunity where you didn't have one. That was your challenge as well, hugely. And then going to the property and meeting these new people and this new, entirely different kind of new industry. At the end of the day, you were a builder, and you're now serving tables at that point, and that's a huge change, like, you know, massively. Like,
poles apart, man. You wouldn't believe digging a hole. I'll tell you this for now, right? Digging a hole is much easier than running around on a Saturday night serving a packed restaurant full of people.
Yeah, I know.
Period.
100%. 100%. Like my family were in the kind of hospitality as well. We had a bar as well, Matt. I don't know if I told you this ever before, but we had a bar as well in Dublin, just outside the city. And yeah, you know, it comes with its challenges, you know, serving drink, serving food, dealing with people, the whole lot. Yeah, challenge. 100%. 100%. So I totally get you. Listen, they were the challenges, but you developed experience. You kind of grew to love the whole idea of what you're doing right now. Tell us the joys right now.
The joys. I think the joys have always got to start with the people that you meet, you know, and that is definitely where the sort of magic for you know, if we're talking about my story, where that started, you know what I mean? It's like the guys that I met, Steve and Sean at the time, the two directors, were just like, very interesting people, you know, and that manifested in a way in the restaurant that they'd created.
Mm-hmm.
It was a fantastic place. It was buzzing with energy like them, and it was at times a little chaotic, right?
Normally,
but sorry.
I'd say normally, yeah.
Yeah. Restaurants are like that. We had our own sort of, you know, version of chaos at the time, right? But it was a fantastic place because clearly a lot of things have been really well thought out. You know, the menu was amazing, the food was superb. You know, the restaurant was that I started in was like really, you know, it was really, you felt like you were in London. You know, the tables were packed in, and this was clearly a restaurant that was trying to win. You know, it was there was a tenacity about it. That I liked, and there was a tenacity about, you know, Steve and Sean that I liked as well, and I liked the good humour. You know, I liked it all. You know, coming down from Manchester and being in a safe place, it was very exciting. You know, it was
in a big place like London too, as well. You know.
Yeah, man, it's that Dick Whittington thing again. You know, it's just like you sort of turn up, and it's, you know, Manchester's a pretty big city. You know it well, right?
Yeah.
But you come to London, it's sort of mind blowing. You know? It really is. You get the starry eyes, I suppose.
It's huge. It's ridiculously huge. But it's interesting because, like you said, the joys are like being involved in kind of like a situation where there was a company that was growing. You were part of it. You were along with good people that were involved in the growth of it as well. I mean, that was special. And then the kind of the service, I suppose, Matt, too, that you were actually kind of delivering on with the clientele, like, you know, that's kind of nice to be involved in too, I suppose, you know.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, you know, when I say to people, obviously I've got to name check the guys that gave me the opportunity, you know, that is foremost for sure. Because without those guys putting trust in me, then, you know, I wouldn't be anywhere, which I really do appreciate genuinely. But you know, if I'm talking about the people, it's like you meet the guys in the kitchen, and I've never experienced that before, and the guys front of house, and everyone's got their own story. You know, hospitality's like that. It's like there's a sort of vibe from the kitchen, there's a vibe from the front of house. They're very much different, but it's like there's a weird connection that binds them all together, you know. And that's very special, you know, and that was my initial sort of experience. And as I've progressed through, you know, I've sort of climbed up management and thankfully, you know, been able to use what I've learned to, you know, help the business and guide the business and guide and help Steve, you know, and sort of, you know, guide younger people now, because I'm no spring chicken. I'm very, very aware that I'm old enough. With I've worked out that about 70% of our company, I'm old enough to be their father, so which is quite a sobering thing.
Well, let's just check in there 1 second, Matt. Like, you went from basically waiting tables to basically operations kind of director. Is that right?
Yeah.
So you literally climbed that ladder in the space of 7 to 10 years, roughly.
Something like that.
Yeah. So. You're pretty significant right now in your role, I would say.
Yeah. But quite honestly, Sean, you know, it's I try to have some sort of humility attached to that, you know, because I think that's very important. You know, it's you know, the tag director is. You know, it's true to say that I'm a director, but I'm an employed director. You know, I'm not gonna kid anyone. Someone else started what you know I've come to sort of help control.
Yeah.
But I'm still very aware that the position that I'm in is about I've got a big responsibility for for a lot of people, and
Of course.
it's about, I think it's about sort of try and being as humble as possible without letting arrogance kick in with the position, because it's easy. You get a bit of power. We've all experienced it in some form of job that we've done, no matter at what level, and it can go to your head a little bit. You get starry eyes, and you sometimes you can treat people in a way that you shouldn't really, because you've got that power. And I think that what I'm trying to do is I don't know. I'm just trying to be as humble as possible and give back a little bit.
Yeah.
To the youngsters that now scarily are. There's quite a big divide that look up to me now, and I think that's a fantastic thing. I really do. It's I'm humbled by that.
Well, you guide and support them though, Matt. That's the thing, though. I
try to, mate. In my own sort of, I muddle in my own clumsy way. I muddle along with them.
Sure, but that's okay.
Sometimes they look at me like I've landed from outer space. Probably because they can't understand me with my northern brogue. Right, what we're going to do today? No, think about it wrong.
Oh man.
So, I could go on, mate, but I suppose the joys for me are, it's just the interactions with people, and you sort of learn along the way that, running in and out of venues, saying that you're busy and you've got no time is no good, because it's just not good enough. And those it can just be 10 minutes of your time that you give to someone, and everyone benefits from it. They benefit from it, but I benefit from it. I benefit from it more than they do, I think, in many respects. And I think, like anything, once you start venturing down a route and you realize that there are gains to be had, and it's better, then it sort of exponentially becomes better and better. And then you're like, yeah, wow, this is the way. Whereas the other way is to just be like, oh no, because you've got that distance, you almost avoid things, and then that gap becomes bigger and bigger. And I think that is a very, it's a dangerous position to be in. And to respect the people around you, that is
an important thing to do. Yeah,
it's a really important thing to do. Yeah, and it's the cornerstone of any team. Not
100%,
just
100%. Well, you've learned a lot of skills along the way, dudes. I think which is amazing. But look, let me ask you another question. We're down to the second last one.
Okay.
So here's the deal. Where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time? You've transitioned from landscaping into moving down to London to, being in this bar restaurant kind of game and working yourself up quite well. Where's next for Matt in 5 or 10?
Maybe like a busker in South America. Just playing on the streets
in Soho, or let's just
play guitar. The only guitar that I own has a hole in the back of it. When I got frustrated about 15 to 20 years ago, and because I couldn't play like one of the more complicated chords drunk, I sort of punched a hole in it. So maybe I'll rekindle that pastime. I don't know.
What about DJing? Would you ever go back into it, like based on you got venues now to play as well? So
no. I mean, listen, I'm very lucky that I do occasionally get to play and DJ in our venues, because we've got DJ booths in a couple of them. The facility to we've got a really good DJ agent, Ruben, who supplies us with like really superb DJs, and occasionally I get or good for me, maybe not as good for the crowd. I get to pretend that I'm like 18.
Stop it now. You are actually a pretty good DJ. I'll give you that.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you.
You always were, dude.
When I was sober enough. But occasionally I get to DJ, and that's cool. That's cool, But honestly, joking aside, I absolutely love the company that I work for, and the people that I work with, and I've seen the growth within it, and all the sort of trials and tribulations that come with it. And I don't see it changing anytime soon. But recently, it's sort of penny dropped for me, and it's back to the people thing. Not to get too sort of mushy about things, but it's like everything is about people. Objects are replaceable. Things break, you can replace them, but people are special, and it's not easy finding if you ever try to recruit a team in any business, you realize the process that you go through, how important people are, and how important the dynamic of teams are, because it takes a very long time to go from a recruitment process to sort of
100%.
building a team to solidifying a team. It can take years, literally, and trust that needs to be built up. It's a very complex process. We're very wary animals. We are not really built to trust immediately. We are built to earn trust over time. And, this is something that I'm starting to realize recently. And I'll tell you when I realized it, right, is recently, a few months back, we lost one of the key players of our business at head office. He was our bookkeeper. And not only was he a fantastic guy, he was a key member of our team, and he was a really top bloke, right? And when you lose part of your team, then forever, you passed away, and you then are like, wow, yeah, actually, it's really important.
Yeah, of course.
More important than ever, and yeah, that's sort of that penny dropped for me. And it was like there's the people are the most important thing, and you should, when you find people who work for your company who are passionate and invested in what you do. And believe me, there's not many. They're at the top of the tree. There's about 5%.
Yeah.
Then you need to look after them, and you need to, if you're not being nice enough, you need to be a bit nicer, because there's no time for anything less. Do you know what I mean?
No, quality people are so important to an organization.
Yeah, exactly. So just to get back to the point, without sort of drifting off, I think the way I see myself with this business in the future, 5-10 years time, is that I want to invest in the growth of younger people. I would say, we're already sort of linking up with a local college. That's something really embryonic that we've just done recently, and I'd like the next stage to be passing on some wisdom, but passing it on in a sort of more down to earth manner that I was akin to when I had my pretty formal and fairly useless what's it called, sort of whatever you do.
I suppose
the sort
maybe in some way.
Yeah, work experience, all that sort of work experience stuff. Do you look back on it? It's just like that was a waste of time, But so we've been sort of working with colleges, and the last I had an interview a couple of weeks ago, and things have moved on a lot since then. And I'd like to get kids into our place, and vice versa. We go to their colleges and sort of instill a bit of our reality, and not just say, listen, read that, and then you go here and it's like this. It's like there's more to it than that. There's it's like, go there and expect it not to be perfect, right? And we'll tell our story, and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's really exciting. So the answer to your question is that's what I'd like.
That's where you're going with it. Okay,
yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. Anything that sort of benefits the younger generation, Matt, is kudos at the end of the day. Anything that any organization that can kind of influence the up and coming to make something better for themselves is the way forward. 100%.
Yeah.
That's the way I think of it. Listen, I'll wrap this up. One more question. What advice do you have to people that have, I suppose, not even going through your situation, but just where you basically landed yourself in, which was crazy, being the landscaper from Manchester, moving down to London, taking an opportunity and working your way up to where you are right now at the moment. Is there any sort of advice you could give to people? Because some people are, you know, without jobs now at the moment, especially in the hospitality. What do you say to those people right now? What do you say to everybody, I suppose, that are trying to maybe look at maybe making a different direction in their life, I suppose, in some way?
I think the sort of narrative thread that I've taken through, like, most of the things that I've experienced that are quite troubling, and then what comes from that is, you know, quite amazing in some respects, is that it's this sort of theory that it's, you know, it's that every cloud has a silver lining, you know, and currently there is a massive cloud, you know, pissing down on people. You know, sorry about the swearing, but it is. It's raining hard, or it's been thunderstorm.
Sure is.
And we're still in the storm, man. You know, it was literally a tropical storm, and now it's pretty rainy, and it's, you know, there's some icy winds, and you can barely see the sun on the horizon coming up. It's, you know, there's a few sun rays, but not much. And I think that you know, from my few meager experiences through my life, is that, you know, every cloud does have a silver lining. And I think that sometimes, you know, it's back to that thing that you don't often choose the things that have the biggest impact in your life, right? And they're often not very comfortable, you know. They often feel like being kicked in the balls and punched in the head, but there's always positive to be drawn from that, you know. It's the silver lining of the cloud. And I think that quite often, you know, when you're finding things really difficult, is you're actually the closest to alive than you'll ever be.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very difficult to realize at the time, you know.
It is 100%.
And it's almost impossible for some people. It's too much, and that's sad. But you know, everyone needs to sort of cling on, and, you know, keep going. Yeah. Exciting times are had from really dark places, and that is fact. You know, there is always sunshine around the corner. Always.
100%.
If you're allowed to, if you allow yourself the time to sort of, you know, admit a few things to yourself that you don't really want to, a bit of humility with yourself, you know, and just be like, well, yeah, that didn't go very well, so maybe I can do something to change that. And bit by bit, with some, you know, a few incremental changes, you know, really, really cool things can happen. That's
definitely. I think there's a quote.
Oak trees grow, you know.
I can't remember the quote now, Matt, though, but it's like every adversity has like a new window or a new opportunity to sort of open up to. So even though things are shit, and you go through very bad times, there's always, and you don't even recognize it at the time, but there's always a window of opportunity in some way, shape, or form in your life that you can kind of, you know, take on board and kind of move forward with. But yeah, listen, Matt, I'm going to cut it there. You've been
cool, man. All
absolutely brilliant. Thank you,
Sean. Thanks for your time, mate. I probably waffled on a little bit.
It's the first good. It's all,
like this, so,
hey,
you know.
It's all good. This is what it's all part of. Dude. It's like I'm trying to capture like people's experiences with Okay, you're a little unique into what I was trying to do, because what I was trying to do was like, people that are opening up businesses and kind of creativity and stuff like that. But you are actually a cool example of the entrepreneurial or entrepreneurial, I suppose you want to call it, people that are actually making a difference in an organization in itself.
Yeah.
So you've done that, and I love that story, and I wanted to I wanted to sort of share that with people, because 10, 11 years ago, well, whatever, back in 2009, you literally changed career path and location and the whole lot.
Yeah.
And look at you now. So I think people are going to get a lot of value out of this because of COVID. Change of direction for a lot of people though too. And even though it's going to be tough and there's a lot of pain involved, there's going to be light at the end of the tunnel. And like we just spoke about, adversity maybe will be there for people, but there's a lot of goodness as well, man. The world is a bit fucked, but you know what? There's a lot of good happening right now too.
Yeah,
there really is.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
No, there is, man. I'm telling you, exciting times are ahead. If you keep someone down for long enough, they'll come back fighting. And I genuinely think maybe it's because of the industry that I'm in, but I think there's hedonistic times ahead. If you think about like the reason why the 60s happened, or like the 90s, or there's certain eras that are extremely exciting, and they are a sort of natural rebound and reaction to times of oppression and really shit things happening.
Yeah.
I genuinely, honestly think that there's an exciting time to come. I really do.
There is, and I think with your industry as well, I think when that opens up, it's going to be chaotic. Like, people are just going to be ramming down doors right now at the moment, trying to get.
Man, we've just been through Euro 2020 or /2021. I don't know if I can deal with that. Can we postpone Freedom Day for another few months?
And the World Cup's only next summer, so sound.
Hey, I don't want to talk about it.
Matt, listen, I'll leave you to it, dude.
All right,
thank you so much. Thank you so
mate.
much for sharing your story. Thanks for your time, dude. I miss you. I'm gonna have to come down and see you in London sometime, dude.
But, for sure.
Great to reconnect, and thank you for sharing the story, dude. I hope people get value out of it.
Me too.
And I'm sure they will. I'm sure even if it hits a couple of people, that's the whole goal. Cool. So thanks, dude. Have a great night.
Cool. Thank you. Take care.
Tell London we said hello. Be good.
I will. Take care.
All right, mate. Bye-bye. Take care. Bye-bye. Thanks, man.